another episode. Pavi and Nami back again to help you crush unemployment and find your dream career. You can find us on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday, so don't forget to hit subscribe.
So today we're getting super tactical and addressing one of the biggest pain points around the job search process, which is how to craft a killer resume. Yes, a resume shouldn't be the only tool in your tool belt, but not having an effective resume can keep you from getting that great job. Because recruiters spend an average of 6 seconds on a resume. 6 seconds! So how do you make sure yours stands out? So here are 6 hacks to consider.
Number 1, the design. Resumes aren't dead, but they are outdated. So what's changed? For one, people have lower attention spans, so keep your resume short and the layout easy to read. So if you have about 10 years experience, you should probably have a 1-page resume. And don't rely on Microsoft Word templates, guys. Companies like BizLatte offers customized resumes, so check them out.
Shameless plug.
And being in a digital world, a LinkedIn profile or a personalized website provides a lot of supplemental information. So your resume should just be a highlight reel of your accomplishments.
Number 2, what's your story? When it comes to content, take a big picture view. It's important to do your homework, knowing what type of job you want and why, networking, doing informational interviews to know in-depth knowledge about the company, the job, the industry. This will tell you how to craft an effective story. This is especially important if you're trying to transition into a completely different career path, because your resume says one thing based on your past experience, but where you're going is somewhere completely different.
Right.
So does your resume actually convey that?
Number 3, the summary statement. This should be 1 to 2 lines that highlight your strengths and what type of job you want. So keep it simple, baby.
Yay.
The usual tendency is to sound fancy, cram in all of your qualifications and use a bunch of jargon.
Yeah.
But think from the perspective of a recruiter who has like a few seconds to look at your resume.
Number 4, words matter. Online applications will filter out resumes that don't have the right keywords, so do look at the job descriptions and use some of that language in your resume. You also want to use strong action verbs like reduce claims by 50%. Don't get jargony, especially if you're trying to go into a new career path and you have a whole bunch of jargon from your previous industry. People are not gonna understand what that is. Also, while you're at it, trim the fat in general. Every single task you ever did at a job does not need to be on your resume, just the highlights, people.
So no sandwich artist. Number 5, the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result. It's one of the best ways to highlight all of your accomplishments. And numbers are also important. If I said decreased employee turnover by 40% over a 6-month period by creating a 1-week training program, that sounds far more effective, am I right?
Hire that woman. Number 6. Think like a recruiter. A recruiter or hiring manager is gonna think of you in the context of a job. So put yourself in their shoes. They wanna see how your experience is relevant to that particular position, and also they wanna understand what kind of person you are. So try to humanize yourself. Show that you're well-rounded. If you have volunteer experience, put it on there. And don't be afraid to show some personality, especially in that summary statement.
Now, there are a few common practices from back in the day that aren't valid anymore. So we wanna debunk some of those myths that we've heard our clients come up with. Myth number 1, personal information. You do not need to add your address on your resume. That's kind of dangerous, so get rid of it now. Your contact information can be your email, your phone number, and your LinkedIn profile.
Myth number 2, having gaps on your resume. Guys, having a gap on your resume is not a death sentence. Recruiters are well aware of the fact that layoffs exist. You actually don't even need to put the month on your resume anymore, just putting the year is fine. You can also fill in the gaps by adding your volunteer experience, freelance gigs, anything you've done that's added value in between.
Alright guys, we hope you found these tips useful. And like we mentioned earlier, your resume should be the closer. If you've put in the time to know what you want and why, networked and conducted informational interviews, it'll be super effective. Your resume is merely a tool, so don't think of it as a be-all end-all.
And we will see you next week with a brand spanking new episode. Bye!